Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of ZB's Horsepower Talk. As always, I'm ZB Zack Brown. And as always, joining with me is my dad, Jeff Brown, to give the crew chief perspective of everything. And kids may or may not be in the background today. A lot to go over. Champions have been crowned in the NASCAR Series and the World of Outlaws. And we're looking ahead at the NHRA Championship and see what the four drivers will be crowned in all four series. So, Dad, welcome back, and a lot to go over from the championship this weekend and looking ahead this coming week.
Yeah, it didn't seem like there was a whole lot of racing as far as picks wise, but there was a lot of racing. Started Wednesday night with the World Outlaws, the World Outlaws late models, and the Super Dirt cars at Charlotte. And went Wednesday through Saturday. Friday night we had the trucks crash fest at Phoenix. And then Saturday and Sunday Xfinity and the Cup cars at Phoenix, and now we got one last hurrah with the drags in Pomona, California.
Yeah, you're talking about a crash fest in Truck Series. It was a good race until towards the end. I think until the very last 25, 30 laps, they had 6 or 7 cautions, and I think they ended up with like 16 cautions. To give anybody a perspective of what happened there. The very common theme in NASCAR this weekend was Ford. Ford took all 3 championships. Ben Rhodes, Cole Custer, and Ryan Blaney were all crowned the champions this weekend. Let's talk about that. Then we'll talk about the Outlaws and maybe some breaking news going on in the sprint car world, at least for this show. So, again, with the Truck Series, we kind of predicted it. Crash Fest. Very expected. A lot of controversy going on between Corey Heim and Carson Hocevar. Hocevar dumped time early, but you could see, you can even hear the in truck audio, however we want to call it. Hocevar was really mad at himself. He was really mad. He didn't want to have to take him out. He didn't mean to do that. He just screwed up. He said it himself. And later, Corey Heim just blatantly runs him into the wall. But Hocevar's like, nope, that's fair. He's like, I had it coming. Heim had the fastest truck all night. He had the one to beat, and after that contact with Hocevar, it just wasn't the same. And it came down to Ben Rhodes and Grant Enfinger, and Ben Rhodes was just the faster truck at the end.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Truck Series has turned into very expensive bumper cars, I think. Most of the people that are running it are buying the rides. They're not racing with any kind of respect for the other drivers. And I know some of the Cup drivers have really been very vocal this week on Twitter or X or whatever the hell you want to call it now about how bad the driving in the Truck Series has been. I do think NASCAR's probably going to need to do some kind of stepping in, and just you can't have these things as a crash fest. Yeah, everybody likes to watch a few crashes, but when you have 10 of them in a row right there at the end, can't get a race restarted. It's pretty tough to watch. NASCAR's an entertainment business, and they want good TV viewership.
Well, I'm pretty sure several cautions were brought up by the same individuals, so I think there's not a whole lot they can really look at. They can't be like, stop, you can't crash anymore, just in general, because they're not good. But there's got to be something like you should be DQ'd if you bring out, I don't know, 2 or 3 cautions yourself. And there should be like a penalty of like a span of maybe some certain amount of races if you're the common denominator in the cautions.
Yeah, if you're, if they can
deem
there's some kind of intent or something like that, like in college football, they think you're, targeting, you get set out for a game or whatnot. It's, all of a sudden for sponsors, you get set out for a race from rough driving. Look what they did to Chase Elliott. I mean, the trucks are almost, of course, they might not have a field if they set everybody out for a week.
I don't know how much it's with intent on Truck Series, besides obviously the Corey Heim situation this past weekend, as much as just not skilled. And you could see as you watch each championship race, the amount of talent just improves each and every race.
Yeah.
You go to the Xfinity race, yes, there's a little bit of cautions and stuff. I don't really think there are any legitimate cautions that happened in the Cup race, besides a couple things that happened.
There wasn't much.
But yeah, really, that's all to go over the truck race. Ben Rhodes, two-time champion now, so congrats to him. Wouldn't surprise me if you see him get an opportunity, at least part-time in the Cup Series, and see what he's got there. And you see a lot more jumps from the trucks to the Cup now. They say they're a lot more similar than they are with the Xfinity cars as well. So, and there's a lot less expensive to race trucks and then just jump right into Cup rather than have to go through Xfinity, which is millions of dollars you have to spend a year, and you might have subpar equipment, and chances are you're probably going to end up in wrecks.
Yeah, true. I mean, it's a lot of these guys are bringing, to get the rides, they're bringing sponsorship. If you're going to spend millions of dollars, they're going to want to go right to the Sunday show if at all possible.
Well, again, like I just mentioned earlier, Cole Custer comes out with. I actually thought Cole Custer won a championship, but apparently he never won a championship in the Xfinity Series. So this was his first championship. I think he's been in the Final Four, just never came away with the championship. That was the dominant car all day.
Yeah,
he was the fastest. I mean, there was really no question. Allgaier was the second fastest. I mean and it would have been tough with the last late race restarts. For Allgaier, he would have had to get a little dirty, but that's not how Allgaier races. But I mean, hats off to Cole Custer and Stuart Haas with the just bringing the car to beat there.
Yeah, I think Cole Custer got second. I think he was driving for Junior Motorsports at the time in Xfinity, and he ran second in that. I can't remember who won that year, but yeah, I mean, he was. Yeah, that car was just lights out fast. From start to finish. He really never had much trouble,
and no mistakes on pit road, and that was the key. And actually, there really weren't a lot of mistakes overall on pit road. I want to say John Hunter Nemechek had some issues on pit road to kind of set him back in part of the race, but other than that, everywhere was pretty clean. It was a good race in the Xfinity race and a nighttime race. I like the nighttime races. I wish the Cup race went to a nighttime race for the championship. Maybe a doubleheader with Xfinity Championship on Saturday night. Like I've been saying, that would be really cool. Have Xfinity afternoon, go into the Cup race at nighttime, and everybody can go home the next day. If my luck, it would rain if I went out there, so it would go to Sunday, even though it's a desert. But yeah, hats off to Cole Custer again. And then going into Sunday, we talked about it. He was probably the favorite going in. He had the most momentum, and he capitalized on it. Worked on the car all day long, and ended up being the fastest at the end. Definitely the whole third stage, he was the fastest. Ryan Blaney, probably, I would say arguably the most popular championship win out of those four. And shoot, he might be the most popular driver in NASCAR at this point.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan Blaney's just one of those guys you just almost have to like. I mean, he's mild mannered. He will say what he thinks, but and if you ever follow him on like Twitter, he's hilarious. I mean, he just seems like he would be a fun guy to be around. He's the type of guy that I think brings out the best in his crew and everybody else, because they all want to do their best for him, and vice versa.
Yeah, he didn't win the race, which is the first time the Final Four has been beaten by somebody not in the championship running. Ross Chastain got the
he was trying.
Win. Well, Chastain had some blocks he had on Blaney. Nothing dirty, just was racing him hard. Blaney was pissed though, and Blaney, he said it after. He's like, "Damn right, I meant to hit him. Like, what do you want me to do?" He's like, he was blocking me several times.
Chastain shouldn't roll over. He's trying to win the race and then improve whatever, if he can improve in point position. I'm not sure where it came out.
Yeah, that
don't roll over just because he's in the championship race.
Yeah, and I mean, he very well could be in the championship next year, and this could be a setup that they look at. Hey, we were good with that, and let's go back with the same car in the same way we know how to win here now. Confidence is a big thing, and they came up short last year, but they might be able to bring a car next year. Who knows? Anything can happen in the season. We obviously know that. But again, hats off to Ryan Blaney. For obvious reasons, we're not the biggest Ford fans and stuff, but Ford brought their A game this weekend and came out with the championship. It was the only Ford in the Cup Series. I wish I would have been able to see Christopher Bell, see what he could have done in the whole race, but early on had that brake.
Yeah, he was good. He was good early.
Yeah, and that was he said he's no indication that the brakes were going out. Just kind of just happened. So kind of unusual, especially at Phoenix. You didn't see really anything at Martinsville happen. So at Phoenix, it could have been the hot temperatures, but I think that might have been the only issue with brakes we saw.
It was probably just a part failure. It was just one those with those 18-inch wheels. The brakes are so much bigger, and you just don't have the brake issues like you normally do. So it was probably just a bad rotor might have had a crack in it right from factory and just finally took a crap.
Well, the other biggest news, and it was seen all year, but this was the final race for Kevin Harvick in the NASCAR Cup Series, at least full time. I wouldn't be surprised if he raced at least a little bit in Xfinity Series every now and then, kind of like how Junior has been doing. But that was Harvick's alleged last race. I say that because we've seen Jeff Gordon have his final race and that he had to fill in for a couple times. So this is his last race in a full-time capacity at the very least. Obviously, Hall of Fame career, first ballot Hall of Famer. And he kept his top 10 streak alive at Phoenix. I think it's over 20 something now.
That's crazy. He's so good at that track.
Yeah, and he had a car to beat in the beginning.
He was good.
But very, I say it's a solid way to go out to end your career. And I think he'll be very good in the Fox booth come February.
Yeah, he's really smart. He knows what's going on. He's real articulate and explains he explains very well from the driver's perspective what's going on and then what's happening or what's going to happen and things like that. It's pretty. I'm looking forward to him. I think he'll do a great job.
Yeah, they needed that third person in the booth. They had guest appearances and every now and then. I think the best one was Tony by far. That would fill in for it. Obviously, Gordon was great in it with them, and I think Harvick would bring that great perspective that Gordon did. But yeah, another NASCAR season in the books, and now we just have to wait until February for the clash at the Coliseum again, and I'll get on my high horse then. Well, that'll just be a traditional thing we'll make is Zach complaining about the Coliseum. But jumping into the dirt racing world, the World of Outlaw Championships raced. This is the first time they raced 4 actual races. They've always had 4 days there, but they didn't. The sprint cars usually race Wednesday, and then they race Friday, Saturday. But now they went the entire time. Wednesday set up Thursday and Friday shows, and you built points upon that, and then you could go into the heats for Saturday.
Yeah, it was definitely an interesting format where the sprint cars had 2 time trial sessions, one for Thursday, one for Thursday show, one for Friday show. So it was, they had 2 separate pill draws, and so that definitely made a long night for sure as far as getting time trials done. But that was a kind of a neat format. I kind of liked how they did that. That made it kind of interesting.
Yeah, definitely, and we saw they were all really good races, and I was there. Very, very dusty track, and as good as races they are, you can't really complain about it, I guess. And it might not have been as bad on the track, but the stands, from the stands perspective, you could not see anything on that track at all. And we didn't have any rain down here, so that could have played a big factor in it too. It was definitely dustier than last year because we had some rain last year. But made for some really good shows. And going into Saturday, I was right.
Yeah.
Finally was right on a pick this year. Not a great way to end it. Of course, you were right on pretty much any other picks, but don't worry about that. But yeah, Brad Sweet coming away with his 5th in a row. And the only other driver to do 5 in a row was actually Donnie Schatz. Never mind, before Steve Kinzer, because Kinzer won like 8,000 in a row. But the modern day was Donnie Schatz. But now the big news is looks like Brad Sweet might be stepping away from the World of Outlaws racing and going full time for the High Limit Series. Just announced today, the High Limit Series. If anybody didn't realize, they bought the All-Star Circuit of Champions, and now the High Limit Series is going to be a 50 race season, and they'll be racing all across the country. It has not been determined if it's only going to be midweek or how they're going to handle that. Big races include the Tuscarora 50 was one of the races they are still going to have. And they're going to work around their crown jewel races as well. That way people can go race in the outlaw races if they want to. They don't want to take away those big purses. But the biggest thing for this, they want to have drivers earn money. It's $1 million to win the championship, and for the owner, for the whole team, and $250,000 goes to the driver. That is enormous in dirt racing.
Yeah, that's huge. I think the Outlaw Championship, I don't know what the owners might have got, but I think Sweet got $300,000, $350,000. So, $1 million, that could be a huge deal. I'm going to assume they're no longer going to be using the All-Star Circuit of Champions name. From what I'm seeing, they just keep calling it the High Limit Series. I was kind of wondering if they would have. There's 50 races. They obviously can't all be midweek shows, so they're going to have to be. I would think they're going to have to get some weekend or run mostly weekends. I was kind of wondering if they call it the All-Star, then the midweek shows be like the High Limit Series on some of the bigger payout races or something like that. And that remains to be determined yet, so we don't really know. But yeah, Brad Sweet going to run full time in that. That's huge. The one thing, like we talked about before, is the All-Stars or High Limit Series now, they need to get some better cars running full time on the thing. Because basically it was a 2-horse race this year with Tyler Courtney and Zeb Wise. So now we can get some few more, and it makes me wonder, maybe some of the, I use this term loosely, some of the lower outlaw cars that really don't have any shot at a point title. Do you see them maybe come over? Like Brock Zierfoss comes to mind. Maybe even the Shark Racing.
One of them, maybe even like hot sauce coming over there. It'll be interesting to see. Because now it's less races on the schedule. It's better for the teams. They're able to travel better. So any drivers that are looking to cut down on their travel and earn more money, essentially, that pretty much a no-brainer, I would think. But some of the events the series is going to keep. Obviously, the Bob Weichert Memorial they're going to keep. Make sure that is a sanctioned race with them. Tuscarora 50, and make sure they're going to Portsmouth, Ohio still. And they're going to kick off. The only thing we know right now, they're going to kick off in February, and that's going to be at East Bay in Tampa, Florida.
Yeah. No word yet on Volusia, which that might be an outlaw only race. So I don't think the All-Stars have run East Bay before, so that kind of makes sense. I also think they're running the dirt track at Texas Motor Speedway.
Yes, I was actually about to say that they're trying to work in conjunction with the NASCAR schedule as well. So it looks like Larson's going to race full time for the series title in this. So he and Brad Sweet are going to race all the races. So there's 2 cars that could win.
Yeah.
Tyler Courtney's going to race in it. Zeb Wise is going to race in it. Rico Aber's up in the air right now. He posted on the Elon Musk social media device that they have that he's up in the air what he wants to do. So he's kind of wanting to see what his fans do. But I bet he ends up going to the High Limit to race full time there. There's another driver. So you have a ton of diversity with how good these drivers are. I think it'll be great racing.
I think this would be a prime series for somebody like Macri to try to run the whole traveling series. I think that would probably be
very much good.
As far as a Pennsylvania driver, that would be the only one I think would probably do something like that full time.
And this will all be on Flow Racing. Flow Racing is a big sponsor in this. They're actually adding a lot more, putting a lot more into this. So they have a really good sponsor for it. Obviously, Brad Sweet with Casey Kane Racing helping out as well. And obviously, Larson and Hendrick, I'm sure, is going to pour in some money to this. I think this is huge for dirt racing. And I think this will revitalize a lot of tracks that don't always get a lot of crowds too.
Yeah, and it's like if you're going to even remotely try to compete against the Outlaws, you better go big. I mean, it's trying to half-ass it is not going to do it. So you better go big. You better put good shows on. Get them run through at a good time. Don't dick around all night waiting. Get the shows, run them, get them done, and everybody leave happy without being there till 1 o'clock in the morning.
Well, and High Limit did a great job. They started off early in the year. They were, we were going to 11, 12 o'clock, and I was like, come on, we can't be doing that. Well, they learned from that, and they got the shows done.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that you can credit the Outlaws with, especially seeing it in person. They do not mess around. They do not screw around on the track. You go, 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 go. We got to get this in. But one thing, just to finish up on this, as big as the High Limit was, they had over 8.5 million views just on Flow Racing and over 142 million views across all the platforms. So that is enormous. So I expect those numbers to even go up even further. Excited to see where the sport goes. But that's really all I've got with the dirt racing news and all that. And I've got one more thing. You have anything to add on the High Limit?
No, like I said, anytime you're doing something to better the dirt sport, like Larson and Sweet are trying to do, that for just being a fan, you can't not be happy about seeing that.
Well, the breaking news I wanted to give is that I have confirmed it today with the driver himself. The driver just raced the 69K down at the World Finals at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Is going to come on the show. Justin Henderson, veteran 410 racer from South Dakota. So the bonus episode should be coming out this Friday. So make sure you all are looking for that. Make sure you hit that notification on YouTube. It'll be exclusive on YouTube and obviously anywhere you get your podcast. Make sure you do not want to miss it. It will be a very interesting conversation. Anytime we have these drivers on is always a lot of fun.
Yeah, Justin did a good job because just making the World Finals was not an easy situation. There's a lot of really good cars that did not make the final night, and he ran a little bit a couple weeks ago at Babs Motor Speedway. Got crashed out in the heat race, so he's got had about 3-4 laps in that car, and to go right out there, have a good time trial, run well in the heat races. Decent feature finishes, and was able to come home with a good finish in Saturday night's A-Main. That was, their goal was to make the show.
Yep.
And they
made all 3 nights.
Sure.
Yep. And they made it every night they raced. So that's definitely an accomplishment. And it was good to see everybody down there. And exciting to see what Justin has to say. And we'll see what next year brings for him and that 69K team, what they decide to do. Well, let's move ahead. Look ahead to this weekend. The only thing we have to preview, the final race of the season as far as we are concerned, the NHRA Championship at Pomona, California, really comes down to 2 series that we're looking to crown a champion. There's 2 other ones. There's very outside chance in the motorcycle that somebody else wins, and pretty big stretch for the pro stocks as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, Gage, unless he just doesn't go.
Yeah, if he doesn't show up, if they sabotage his rig on the way out or something, about the only one.
But he is that's the hometown for him. He's going to be extra motivated. He wants to just capitalize with exclamation point on the championship there. Erica, she's got a very comfortable lead over Greg Anderson in the Pro Stock Series. Basically, if she gets a round or 2 win, she'll be locked in as the champion. The funny car is a lot tighter, and it's probably a 3-car race right now between Matt Hagan, Bob Kataska, and Robert Height. 17 points separates all 3 of them. And the top fuel, similar situation as the funny car, comes down probably 3 again. You got Steve Torrance, Doug Coletta, and Leah Pruitt. So looking ahead for Pomona, California now, Dad.
Yeah, it's the birthplace of the NHRA out there, so it's huge prestige event. It's almost a good race. It's 1.5 points now, so you can actually make up some ground or lose a lot of ground real quick just by having a bad day. But that being said, like you said, I think pro stock motorcycle and pro stock cars are pretty well. I don't see anything changing in that one. The nitro categories, those things, anything can happen. All of a sudden, you just miss that tune-up by a little bit. You don't go down the track, you could be screwed real quick. So it's, but the thing is, those guys are top of the points and are the best in the business for a reason. They're not going to have a whole lot of trouble going down. I think we're going to see some good side-by-side racing in this weekend.
Yeah, so what part of Pomona, of California is Pomona? Because we have Sonoma, that's like the northern part of California and wine country. Is this a further south place? And
yeah, it's around LA.
Okay, so it'll be a little bit different weather than they would have at Sonoma. So definitely interesting setups that you could see there.
Yeah, I think it's right near the. You can see in the background there. I think it's the Sierra Nevada mountains, probably in the background. So I'm not 100% sure on. I was thinking it was probably close to sea level, but I'm wondering if it's not that low out there now, seeing those mountains in the background. So sea level could have changed things a little bit. Like up in Sonoma, it's, I don't know, 400 feet above sea level, something like that. So I think this is going to be a little more of a normal thing. Usually Southern California is pretty nice weather. It's never real hot. Humidity is probably going to be low, so that doesn't really change the nitro cars so much. But the naturally aspirated cars you might see some. You might see Gage Herrera run 204 mile an hour this week. Everybody else will break 200 and he'll hit 204.
Well, let's get into it. Let's get to our picks real quick. Pro stock, do we need to even choose again?
No.
Nope. Okay. Doubling up on Gage for the championship and the race. Pro stock, obviously go for race and championship if you think it's going to be any bit different for all of them as well. So pro stock, there's a 112 point advantage, 114 point advantage that Erica has. So definitely some cushion there.
Yeah, I think I'm going to double up on that one. I'm going to go Erica for the pro stock.
I'm going to have it where it's going to get interesting, but I still think Erica gets at least a round or two win. I'm going to go with Greg Anderson to win the entire race out there in the finals, but I think Erica will have enough of an advantage to win the championship. And going into funny car, this is where it gets interesting, and anything can happen. We have 3 drivers that can take away this champ. Well, I mean, mathematically 4, but realistically 3.
It's in my mind, like this is probably Robert Height's home track. Kind of would like to pick that one, but in my mind, I'm going to go with the Ford camp like we did last week. And he's not my favorite driver, but I think Bob Tasca gets his first championship this week. I think he's going to win the championship. I don't think he'll win the race. I think I'm going to pick Hagan to win the race.
Okay, you think that's going to be the finals between those two?
Yeah.
Well, Hagan's leading by 15, so I think he would win the championship if he beat Tasca head to head.
Well, it's 35 points per round.
Tasca's behind 15.
Yeah, well, he would gain 35.
Yeah, so would Hagan if he went to the finals.
No, they get points for the win in that round.
Oh, yeah. So you're talking, beating,
Yeah, so if it came down to those two, whoever wins, that's it. That's,
Yeah, well, I'm going to double up and go with Matt Hagan for the championship and the race at Pomona. Make it simple for me. Top Fuel. And again, probably you could have about 5 drivers really in the running right now. Mike Salinas getting that big win in Las Vegas, setting up really it kind of a Cinderella story would be for an outside looking in, but he could mathematically do it. There's 190 points that are up for grabs between qualifying and the finals. Yeah. Steve Torrance leads Coletta, like I said, by 15 points, and Leah Proulx just behind at 34 points back.
Yeah, this is one I don't believe she's won all year. It's her home track, so I pick her. She lets me down every time. But to win the race, I'm going to pick Brittany Force. But to win the championship, he's going to get his first championship finally after all these years. Doug Coletta.
I'm I'm kind of going to go doubling up with somebody win the race and the championship, making it very interesting. And I think Tony will be happy with this weekend if it does happen. I'm picking Tony's significant other, Leah Pruitt, to win the race and the championship in an exciting fashion. I think it's going to be a lot of fun on Sunday.
Well, that would really be something.
Yeah, he'd be a little happy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that does it for our final pick for the year on everything. So, like I said, if you guys like, subscribe, hit that follow button anywhere you get your podcast and on YouTube. Make sure you look out for the Justin Henderson interview bonus episode coming out at the end of this week. That'll be a lot of fun, a lot of interesting conversations coming out of that. And we will probably wrap up with our first season finale next week, Dad, and see what else we can dive into next week. So until then, if you guys got any questions, comment down below, and we'll see you then, Dad.
All right. See you next week, everybody.